Shattering Glass Chapter 5. Why was Rob popular? In a small public school, if you're okay to look at, have enough money to dress, and have minimum social skills, you're in the top 10%. Then anyone who is the alpha wolf takes over. We'd been a little sick of Lance for a while and ready for a new alpha male. You think Bob would have taken over, but Bob was more a sheep in wolf's clothing. Rob came in and just took over the lead, and we followed because that's what the rest of the pack does. Rob's dark side? Sure. I knew he had one. Anyone with that many secrets. And Young? Rob hooked him and reeled him in. I think Young was so blinded in being Rob's chosen that he couldn't see when it started to go so wrong. But Rob was the sun, and you have to want to travel a long way to find the dark side of the sun. Simon, though, he let Rob show him how to dress and behave, but he never lost himself in Rob. I didn't either. There was a cold center in Rob where his heart should have been. I feel like I should have explained that to Young, warned him. Blair Cruz. Rob laughed and drummed the table. Simon, I get off on a challenge. I get pissed when the herd pushes one of the weak out. I don't want them to say who stays and who gets shit on. I want to even up the score. Coop Coop nodded. Yeah, we're gonna stop people from bullying you. It ain't right when some loser. Coop stopped. He looked down at his papers. It ain't right. Bob rubbed his chin in mock thought. Besides, I need someone to comfort the babes I dump. All those suicide threats get old. I was silent. Rob drummed the table. That's it. He turned to us and nodded. Simon cut his eyes to Rob. There was no bumbling or confusion in his glance. Simon was calculating, sorting the debits from the credits. But something else, something that said more. But I didn't know what kind of more it was. What didn't we know about this guy? Simon saw me watching him and poof, the mook was back. Let's go, Rob stood. Coop copied a final answer from Bobster's paper and shoveled it into his overstuffed notebook. Hey, give my homework back. Once it's in that mess, I'll never see it again, Bobster said. Coop handed Bobster the paper and shoved the bulgy notebook under his arm. You ain't wrong. Half the zeros I get are for papers I did but lost. Correction. Papers you copied but lost, Rob said. He tugged one of the flapping sheets of notebook paper hanging haphazardly from Coop's binder. This vocabulary is from 3 weeks ago. Rob looked at Simon. Maybe glass can help you, Coop. Rob took off toward the back of the gym. Looking around, he pulled a key from his pocket and unlocked a door at the end of a small, dark corridor between the gyms and the swimming pool. The equipment room. Step into my office. He grinned as he ushered us in. I somehow found myself in possession of a master key. Nobody's here until athletics classes, 6th period. The equipment room was small and square with walls and floors of cement. Stacks of mats lined the wall opposite the door. Racks of balls, boxes of timers, standing racks of golf clubs and baseball bats were stashed semi-neatly. Great. Coop stretched out full length, resting his head against a rolled, tumbling mat. Bob leaned against the stacked mats and I sat on top of them. Simon stood in the middle of the open space between the door and the mats. Glass shifted from foot to foot. We're, uh, uh, we're not supposed to be in here. Rob settled against a stack of sand-filled canvas bases. Folding his arms across his chest, he said, Glass, you're changing from pond scum to popular. We'll all help you out, so if you can do some small favors in return, well, that's what friends are for, right? I knew there was a catch. No catch, Glass. Don't do anything you don't want to do. Simon didn't answer. First off, there's not much we can do today. But Rob tossed something from his jacket pocket. We can start with this. Simon fumbled the catch and dropped the dark object that flew at him. He leaned over and picked it up. A comb? Yeah, a comb, Bob said. You need a good haircut, but at least straighten it up for now, Rob said. Simon tugged the comb through his briar patch. Ditch the wingtips, Bob said. And zip your pants, Coop added. The babes call you Peek-a-Pecker. Glass clutched at his crotch and flushed. He jerked on the tab of his zipper. It won't stay up. That's because your pants are too tight, and you don't push the tab against the tracks to lock it, Bobster said. Glass peered down at his pants. We all traded rolling eye glances. Glass, are you from Mars or what? Coop asked, cradling the back of his neck in his hands. The gap could fix half your problems. Glass likes to have it his own way. Rob cocked his head. Right, Simon? A little passive aggressive rebellion? Glass could have been statutory for all the reaction he showed. Rob laughed. That's what's in it for me, Simon. I like a rebel. Coop, Rob said, why don't you set Glass up on an exercise program? Let's lose a little flab, huh, Simon? Get your shirt tail out of your jocks. I leaned back on my elbows. And lose the pocket protector. Simon pulled the calculator and pens out of his pocket and bobbed his head. Saturday. You need to get some new clothes, Rob said. These are new. Where do you get them? Bobster asked. Geeks are us. In fact, Rob continued, let's make a day of it. Clothes, haircut, shoes, the works. You got money for all of this? Simon said, as if insulted, I've got a credit card. Bobster snorted. He spends money to dress like this? I don't know, Rob. He could be hopeless. I don't think so. The first bell rang. Rob opened the door and led Simon out, one hand on his shoulder. What do you think, Glass? Simon squared his shoulders and pulled the gap of his shirt over his stomach. I don't think so either. And then Simon Glass did something I'd never seen him do. He smiled.